Under the same moon, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now we stand in love's pure might, watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching the world. We're right back at you with a great show in store. And we have an honorable man with us here tonight to talk about his life story. As you guys know, as I mentioned previously, he is a top notch man of the hip hop community, but a noble man, a family man, a spiritual man, a very intelligent person. And he has a story that I can't wait for him to share with myself as well as each and every one of you. Now, as many of you may know, that I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. I spent a lot of my life in that faith. So it's going to be nice for me to actually hear from an individual who put a lot of years into the religion as well. And he also gives you a different spin when it comes to the relationship that he had with his mother. This will be touching, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pull at your strings of your heart and really show you what other people experience, especially people who grow up in various religions, especially when a religion has rules such as shunning, where if you commit a sin of some sort, you can no longer talk to your family. I won't keep you waiting any longer. From a man known throughout this world, a very famous guy, in fact. His name is Geechie Dan, but I'm going to let him tell his own story as I sit here and enjoy it as well. We welcome you in, Dan. How are you doing today?
Hey, good evening, my brother. How you doing, man?
All
Um,
right.
Thank you. I appreciate the love and I appreciate the invitation to speak on your platform. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. So I introduced you, but no one can do it better than yourself. Can you tell everybody who you are and give us a little idea about yourself?
Okay. My government name is Daniel Chamberlain. Um, I grew up in Queens, New York, and my entertainment name is Geechie Dan. And wow, it's a long. It's been a journey to grow up in the Kingdom Hall. 16 years. I attended the Kingdom Hall on 201st Street in Hollis Avenue in Hollis, Queens, New York. Um, I started going to the Kingdom Hall back in 1974, and I remember, um, I remember the last meeting. It was 1989. It was the first Sunday of the year. It was the Sunday meeting, and I already had planned that was going to be the last time I ever attend the Kingdom Hall in my life
Wow.
ever again. So we're talking about 16 years of going in field service, door to door. Um, we're talking about uh, my mother giving me permission to live a double life, um, up to the age of 18, 19 years old, and then putting conditions on my spiritual well-being for the sake of for her to dedicate my life to Jehovah. And this is what she had, this was her purpose, This was her plan, and this was going to come in fruition. No matter what I felt, no matter what I said, no matter what I done, this was something that had to go down while I was living in her home. And like I said, it's been a spiritual roller coaster ride. uh, and I mean that. Like, it was days that it was up, everything was, life was good. When I was, 7 years old, that's when I started attending. And we're talking about from 7 years old all the way up to my early 20s, 21 actually, to be exact. So
Could I
for yeah, so
could I have you explain what it was like to be on the Kingdom Ministry School? Just give them your field service, because a lot of people don't quite understand. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
sure. I was a late bloomer in joining the Theocratic Ministry School. I never wanted to join the Theocratic Ministry School. So what happened was, um, as I was approaching 16 years old, this was in 1983, there was a program in school, in high school, called the co-op program, where you work 1 week and go to school in a week.
Hmm.
And I wanted to be on the program to experience, um, you know, working, working. And my mother said, sure, just no problem. You just, you know, um, in order for you to, be involved with this program, you're going to have to be involved and join the Theocratic Ministry School. We got, individuals in the Kingdom Hall, you got the youth, adolescents, we got people as young as 7, 8 years old joining the Theocratic Ministry School. So there's no reason why, there's no excuse for you. You're 16, but fine, that's no problem. But that's one of the that was one of the conditions of me being on the co-op program in high school, that I had to join the Theocratic Ministry School. I said, okay. So yeah, so I had to join in order for me to, work. So yeah, that that was and that was something I had to do.
What about
And if I
field service?
field service, my mother allowed me to go on. I had to go on field service. Um, Now, as I stated, I started going out, getting involved with the Kingdom Hall immediately as soon as the passing of my father. My father passed away September of 1974. My mother was studying with the Jehovah Witnesses. She was studying with a sister named Sister Walker that lived off of Murdoch Avenue in 201st Street in our community in it would be St. Albans, Queens. And we attended her home as the book study at the time. I don't know if they have I don't know if they have the Tuesday night book study now, but back then we had to go to the book study on Tuesday night, and we attended her house for book study, and we attended her home for field service on the weekend. So um I remember going to field service for the first time. I was 7 years old, and I didn't know what to do. I just had to follow a script, and I remember the script to this day. Hi, my name is Daniel Chamberlain. This is my companion, sister or brother, such and such, and we are talking about the last days and the good news of Jehovah's kingdom, Jesus' kingdom, and um, the Watchtower magazine's latest issue talks about um, living in the last days on the paradise earth. Um, and this companion with the Watchtowers, the Wake magazine, and I'm going to place this two magazines with you for the cost of print of 15 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents, I believe at the time.
Yeah.
And it was cute. Oh, that is so nice of you. Sure, let me see if I can grab some change in my purse, or let me see if I can go get $1 for you. That is so nice, and that's so noble of you. So I was like, okay, fine, thank you. So my mother would hit me on my, poke me in my ribs and, good job, good job, you're doing good. And so this went on for years. Um, I had to go on the weekends, and my mother would buy the Watchtower magazines, the Wake magazines, the Truth Book. I remember different publications that she purchased on Thursday night after the Theocratic Ministry School. There was a line for for all these publications for her to purchase, and my mother said, you whatever you magazines, books that you place in field service, you keep the money. So
Wow.
that was her motivation of me getting rid of these magazines and these books, because I was able to keep the money for White Castle, potato chips, you know, candy, you know. So I looked at it, I turned it to a positive and said, yeah, okay, there's no problem, let me see if I can get $5 today. That gives me $5 of goodies I can buy, and White Castle I can buy.
Yeah, I know from growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, were you terrified to see your classmates when you knocked at doors?
Yes, I did come across two classmates of mine in high school, and that's when it counted. It didn't count in junior high school because you're not popular. Nobody knows you in junior high school. No one knows you in elementary school. But in high school, you become, someone of interest. You become popular. You start becoming of yourself. And I remember this was on a Sunday afternoon witnessing, and we was working in Cambria Heights, which would be like Queens Village section of Queens. And I was working with the presiding, I don't know if it's the residing elder or the presiding elder. I don't know what
Presiding over overseer,
presiding.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
working with brother. His name was Brother Miller. Brother, yeah. So I'm knocking on the door. I didn't realize that this um, young lady went to high school with me. I didn't know she lived here. So I'm knocking on the door, and she comes up. She comes to the door. Danny, is that you, Danny? I was like, oh God, I can't believe this. I said, yeah. Um, how you doing? She said, you a Jehovah's Witness? I said, not exactly, but um, you know, um, I'm out here on the afternoon service, field service with my grandmother. This is what I told her, because it was a brother Miller, and then they put me with a lady. It wasn't my mother, but she was an older elderly lady. And Brother Miller came back. He said, "Oh, Danny, you know her. Maybe you can. This is the opportunity to get a book, a study with her, a Bible study with her." I said, "Oh, yeah, that's a thought. Thanks, Brother Miller. I appreciate that." And she said, "Oh my God, wow, Danny. Oh wow. I'll see you in school tomorrow." I said, "Oh yeah." And I just gave her a look like, "Please do not say anything about this. Please do not mention that I was knocking on your door on a
Yeah,
Sunday afternoon." I just
I
gave her a
remember that.
look. And the next day, she
Oh
just looked
boy.
at me. She gave me a smirk. Like and I went up to her. I said, "My mother," I said, the lady that I was with, that was my grandmother, and she's a Jehovah's Witness, and she just wanted her grandson to be out to come with her any chance that I can get while she's still alive. She's not going to be around much, longer. As you notice, she's elderly, and this is one of her wishes for me to join her in field service as her grandson. So please do not tell nobody you saw me, and please do not make please do not share this with no one. She said, I won't say nothing, Danny. I could tell you was embarrassed. I said, yeah, yeah, very embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
How
that's how
did
that went.
right? How did you feel about not being able to celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all these holidays, and even your own birthday?
Um, every year I would ask my mother, like it was like the rules would change. I would think that the rules were changing every year. And I told my mother, I was like, wow, what is the reason of not celebrating my birthday? Um, and she would always come to me about the story in the Bible about King Harold being beheaded.
Yep, yep.
So I was like, well, they don't say anything about um for us not to celebrate birthday. It just sounds like an unfortunate incident to me. I mean, the last time I celebrated my birthday was at 7 years old. This was August 2nd, 1974 was the last time I celebrated my birthday as a child. So all the years, all the way up to the age of 18, I didn't celebrate my birthday.
Mm,
I, I it was awkward. I found it humiliating. Like why I can't celebrate my birthday? This is my day. And I just had to, I just looked at, my mother, and I looked at all the other witnesses, and I looked, the congregation, and I was like, is this the only reason why we can't celebrate our birthday because of King Harold and then the King Nebuchadnezzar? I mean, so these stories in the Bible is saying that we're not supposed to celebrate our birthday because one is it's a pagan tradition, and then two, bad things happen on your birthday. So I was like, okay, so it was like I said, I dealt with it. I hated it. I couldn't stand not able, to celebrate my birthday. I didn't start celebrating my birthday until I was grown, and it didn't bother me so much when I was young, but when I had kids, when I had my two sons, it bothered me a lot. And then it went out the window by that time. Um, I was celebrating my birthday, um, and not only did I start to celebrate my birthday, by the time I had children, I went in hard. I celebrated hard. I wanted to make up for all the years that I didn't celebrate my birthday. And it just
right,
got to the point where this is my day. And I found the scripture in the Bible in Colossians, I believe it was 2:16 or 3:16, I believe, that talks about do not judge individuals that celebrate uh, festivals, new moons, which is your birthday, and the Sabbath, and different other activities. Can't judge individuals on what they drink or eat. So I'm like, where? How come I never heard of this scripture? All my years going to the Kingdom Hall, I never came across this scripture. This was a scripture that was never taught in Bible class or never was taught in um, did the theocratic ministry school or book study or the Watchtower meeting. And I'm like, wow, it says it right here all along, all the time. So um, I just started celebrating my birthday, and then I enjoyed celebrating it. And it, you know, um, but growing up not celebrating your birthday is man, that's so depressing. That's hard on a someone that's adolescent or someone that's growing up, a teenager.
right.
That hurts.
Yeah, definitely. Can you explain to everyone what you do now? So when I ask you the next question, they'll understand. So just explain about your life, what you do now, and so forth.
Right now, I took my passion. I took something that I would dear hold on to, something that I love doing, that I always wanted to be successful in, that I couldn't be when I was younger, when I was involved with the Kingdom Hall, when I was living with my mother at the time in the 70s and the 80s. You know, hip hop has emerged on the scene in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was a thriving culture. Um, it's a youth oriented culture. So, you know, we're talking about 13, 12, 13, 14 years old. And I started listening to, you know, hip hop on the radio. At that time, hip hop was played only on the weekends and only at night, late night radio, pirate stations, and paid time on FM radio, late night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I wanted to I wanted to be involved with hip hop at that time, but my mother wouldn't allow me. And I regret that she had so much control over me, which ultimately altered my life. I felt like if I had started at the time that LL started back in the 80s, because he was a childhood friend of mine that lived in the community and lived in the neighborhood. I started around that same time that he started. I felt like I wish I'd have stuck to my guns and stood up to my mother, but sadly, and then I didn't. And so now in 2025, I've been um I've been living my dream. I've been doing what I love to do. I've been pursuing my passion, turning my passion into my purpose. And ultimately, it's leading me to my destiny. And that's how I feel about hip hop. I got involved early on with the tapes, with the audio tapes that was played on hip hop radio back in, you know, in the early 80s. And I started collecting these audio tapes throughout the years. And now I've become a hip hop archivist. I've been a gatekeeper for hip hop with these tapes, and became someone um, that's recognized as a hip hop archivist, recognized as someone that's important as a gatekeeper in hip hop. And I've amassed over 1,200 tapes that I've converted digitalized to CD and MP3 files. And now I have the largest collection of audio tapes, park jams, live performances, block parties, house parties, skating ring events, community center, freestyles, and hip hop. And I decided to take that passion and turn it to my purpose, because for years I was told that I would never be successful in life unless I was a Jehovah's Witness and I was dedicating my life to Jehovah. And that was something my mother instilled in me and told me, and I believed her. And I was embarrassed for years that I allowed my mother to brainwash me. I allowed her to use the organization of Jehovah Witness to you know, she used them. She knew that what they was what the doctrine was teaching was false. She knew that it was game, but my mother didn't let up on me. She used them to kill my dream. What she thought that she was going to kill my dream by doing it, and almost she almost got away with it. She almost had me, with to the point where I just gave up on my dreams. I gave up, um, and just was content with just living a nine to you know having a 9 to 5 job, and just have a just be insane. And she brainwashed me. She led me to think that I had the only way that I was going to be successful was being a Jehovah's Witness, and I had to work hard to be in the position that I'm at today, because I had to go. I don't know if it was Jehovah. I don't know if it was Jesus. I don't know if it was Allah. But I took it upon myself to reach out to God and say, God, please let me know what is my purpose. Um what is it that I'm supposed to be here for? And God was like, you love hip hop. And I said, yes, very much. I love hip hop. And I want to be able to be that person in hip hop where I honor our pioneers, our hip hop legends and hip hop icons. At the same time, I need you to teach me and show me how to honor my mother, despite her not wanting me to live this lifestyle of music, of hip hop. And it took me 20 years, because every time I tried to find it in my heart to forgive her or forgive my mother and allow myself to move on in life, I failed. And I'm here to say that, and I'm embarrassed. I wish I would have got this out and it was able to pursue this when I was in my 20s, early 30s. But all this didn't happen until my late 40s, going into my 50s. And I never thought that I'd be scared of my mother. I never thought that I would be able to win when it came to receiving the blessings from her, or a blessing from her to that, okay, this is what you love to do and this is your passion. Go ahead and pursue it. And it wasn't like that. My mother would not let up. She would not let up on me.
What was her viewpoint of you listening to rap music when you were younger?
Her viewpoint was, this music you're listening to is a fad. It's not going nowhere. It's it's part of Satan. This is his, this is his world, and this is his music, and this is his being his this is his so they so once my mother got a wind of me, um she got a wind of hearing me on the radio, on college radio, WBAU, back in 1984. She would hear me on the radio on Monday nights from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. And at that time, this was at that time they was playing rap music on college radio. In fact, WBAU is the first college radio to play rap music in the world at that time. This is 1984. And the individuals that was involved with the radio station, at college radio station at Adelphi University, WBAU 90.3 radio, was Chuck D from Public Enemy, Flavor Flav, Keith and Hank Shockley, Dr. Dre from UNTV Rap, which ironically today is his birthday. Um, Busta Rhymes, a young early Busta Rhymes, um, a whole lot of individuals, Wildman Steve, Tyrone T Money, all these individuals. This was like my family. They invited me to come up to the radio station after months of making dedications on the radio, overloading the phone lines. I would make 20, 30 dedications every Monday night, flooding the phone lines. And they were Dr. Dre from UNTV Rap say, yo, Geechie, why don't you come up to the radio station and say your own dedications because you overloading the phone lines? I said, for real? He said, yeah. So um, I went from collecting the tapes of these individuals um, to now going up to the radio station and seeing them face to face and meeting them. And they embraced me. And when it was time for Public Enemy to evolve and move on forward to where they're at today, and induct into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the most iconic, legendary hip hop group. You got Dr. Dre that went on to become Yo TV Rap, movies. You got Keith and Hank Shockley that did the Bomb Star, that produced Slick Rick and Public Enemy, and they be Ice Cube, and all this was right there in 1984 when it was in my prime. And I had to, I didn't have to, I hid it from them that I was going to the Kingdom Hall. But as time went on, after 2 or 3 years, not be able to do what I wanted to do, they felt bad for me. They felt like my mother robbed me, and it hurt. I would have got I think I would have got a lot further if I was able to do what I wanted to do as far as hip hop at that time, and I wasn't allowed to do that. And like I said, once my mother got a wind of me loving hip hop, and she saw how passionate I was, she went in for the kill. She did everything in her power to discourage me. She did everything to make sure that I was not going to be able to pursue hip hop. She did everything possible you can name of. She told people in the congregation, they gave talks, they gave, theocratic ministry school talks on me. They mentioned, individuals in here in the Kingdom Hall that wants to pursue hip hop, rap music. They want to be like DMQ and run DMQ and LL Fool J. They would, purposely mix the names up. And everything the neighbors in the community, my neighbors on my block, they would say, Miss Chamberlain, your son Danny, he's in the park rhyming. He sounds nice. He sounds good. He's actually good. And LL Cool J, big salute to LL Cool J, came to my house. Cut Creator, his DJ came to my home. And they co-signed me. LL didn't say, hey, he's just good as me. He didn't say that, but he did say, I'm, being successful in this. It's not a fad. This is the real deal. He's on, he's telling my mother, I'm on Soul Train. I'm on Dick Clark. I just got a check for this amount of money. And, Cut Creator was like, yo, maybe you should reconsider, allow him to live, allow him to do what he loves to do. And my mother wouldn't let up. That just made it just seemed when I turned 18, 19 years old, my mother just went in. She said, okay, I allowed you to live a double life for all these years in my home. Now you know right and wrong. And now you have to as long as you're living in my house, you're gonna have to, go to the Kingdom. You're gonna have to go to all the meetings. You're gonna have to do field service, street witnessing in the summer. And I was staying, my mother was a nurse aide, and I wasn't allowed to stay with her all the time. So she would have me with Jehovah Witness families that would they would look over me. And some of them was, real zealous. One in particular, Sister Mintz, I never forget her. She was really a zealous sister. She was really she really believed. She was one of the 144 down. She was one of the anointed, one of the 144,000, and I had to stay with her for the summer, and it was brutal. So I'm out of school. I got to get up 5:30 in the morning for street witnessing with Sister Mintz. I can't watch Star Trek shows on TV. I can't watch Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, Joker's Wild, the game show, the television game show, Joker's Wild. I was not allowed to watch none of these programs in her home during the summer. I was not allowed to bring my comic books. I wasn't allowed to bring none of my tapes. And this was how it was going to be for 2-3 months for the summer. And it was brutal. 5:30 in the morning, like I said, street witnessing. 6 o'clock, prayer over the morning breakfast, morning prayer. Then we go to after street witnessing, we go to meet up with the group and go door to door witnessing. So now I'm going door to door witnessing in Southside Jamaica, Queens. And we're doing this to about 12 o'clock. We go for lunch. Then we're going for afternoon witnessing. So we're going afternoon witnessing from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Then we relax. Finally, it was a book study at 7 o'clock. We had to attend. It was Thursday night. It was the Theocratic Ministry School. We had to attend at 7:30. And by that time on the weekends, I went back home. I was able to come back home whatever days my mother was off. And my mother allowed me to watch these programs and the comic books and the tapes and all that. And but I was not to speak of it when I went to other witnesses' homes, when they to take care of me, to watch over me while she was at work.
Okay, was your father in the picture?
No, my father, um, when my mother was studying with the witnesses in 1974, early on, there was a lot of physical abuse, domestic abuse going on in my home with my mother and my father. And I remember hearing them argue a lot. But I also remember my father picking my mother up and dropping her off at the book study, or dropping her off at the Kingdom Hall on Hollis Avenue for Thursday night meeting and Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon meetings. And I was allowed to stay with my father. And because my mother was like, he, he's coming with me. And my father, he fought that. He's like, nope, sorry, Louise, he's not coming with you, he's staying with me. So I got the protection from my father from up to 7 years old. And in 1974, that my father um he physically abused my mother, and he blackened both her eyes. And this was like the spring of 1974, while she's studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And now I'm not involved with going to the Kingdom Hall at the time. I don't know nothing about it. I just know that this is something that my mother's doing. This is something that she does. And so my father was he was a jet mechanic for Pan Am Airlines. And so my mother and father traveled a lot on standby for free. Just if it wasn't for free, it was damn near for free, because he worked for the airline for Pan Am. So going out the country, or going out to traveling, or going on vacation wasn't anything unusual about that at the time. But this particular year in 1974, due to the fact that now um, my mother is studying with the witnesses, but she's also being um, physically abused by my father, she took out 4 insurance policies, life insurance policies, against him. And
Wow.
when my uncle, her brother, my uncle Junior, when he asked should he get involved, my mother said no. I would take care of this. I would make sure that he'll never hit anybody in life. I would make sure he'll never hit nobody again. So we fast forward to August 2nd, 1974 is my birthday. I'm turning 7 years old. And this was my last birthday cake. And I was expecting to go, we was all anticipating on going to my uncle's birthday celebration September 1st in New Jersey. He was in the armed forces. He was in the Air Force, and he lived on the barracks, or I don't know, I guess the Army or the Air Force military homes community. And we already had attended his birthday celebration prior to 1974. This was my father's brother. So my mother said she does not want to go to birthday in New Jersey this year. She wants to go to Acapulco, Mexico this year. Being that she's now studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses, she don't want to celebrate no more birthdays. And my birthday was the last birthday that she's gonna celebrate. So September 1st comes, my mother packs my father's, you know, luggage, and she puts in a black suit in his baggage. She packs a black suit, and we're going to Acapulco, Mexico, where the temperature is 80 degrees and better. This is Labor Day weekend. So my mother had planned this from, like I said, from spring of 1974, that she was going to, pay back what my father was, my father
Wow.
had did to her. So we go to Mexico, we go to Acapulco, and this is 51 years ago. 50 years ago. No, excuse me, 51 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was so my father, we in the pool at the hotel. My sister and my mother, my sister was at the pool, and then she left and went up to the room where my mother was at, and my father left, and I stayed in the pool and fell asleep. So instead of him waking me up and, hey, let's go up, I asked him, I said, can you come, can you finish swimming? I'm tired, I'm sleepy. He said, okay, no problem, let me get one more swim, and you know let me get this last swim. So that I didn't realize that would be the last time I see my father alive. And when I woke up, he was gone. So now I'm walking around the hotel. I'm 7 years old, remind you. I'm walking around the hotel. I'm going to, different parts of the front of the hotel, the back of the hotel. I'm going maybe 2 blocks away from the hotel to see if I could see him in some of the gift stores, the gift shop. I'm trying to find my father. So now it's going on 8, quarter to 9, I believe. I go upstairs and I see the doctor, hotel doctor, and the hotel manager in the room, and I see tears, but I don't see a lot of tears. I just see slight tears. And I was like, what happened? And they said, well, your father drowned, and he died. I said, what?
Hmm.
He died? So what happened was, as the story was explained to me, my father went up and asked my mother for some pills because he had a headache. Instead of giving him aspirin, she gave him Valium. And anyone that knows anything about Valium slows down your body. So he took the Valium, and went swimming. And he was a good swimmer.
Wow,
And
sorry to hear that.
so that's how um so that when that happened that day, um but just because we wasn't at the birthday celebration in for my uncle, if we had went there, he would have my father it been a possibility, a big possibility that my father lived, would have lived, and this would have changed everything about history about with me, with my history. So when that happened, so the next day we on the plane heading back to JFK Airport, where ironically was where my father worked. He worked at JFK Airport in Jamaica, Queens. So now we on the plane, and I see his body in the casket
Mm.
being put on the ramp. And I'm looking out the window and I'm crying. I'm like, I can't believe this. So now we get home, and my mother, you know, I noticed that she wasn't crying much. She was really stern about this. She was really cold, and I couldn't understand that. And when she explained to me that my father, died, and I said to her, I wish you had died instead of him. And she slapped me right across my face. And
Wow.
she just looked at me, and I meant it. I meant every word I said. I meant it. I meant it. I meant that I wish she had died instead of my father. I didn't understand what was going on at the time. I knew something was going on, but my mother was so slick. My mother was so clever. She was so calculated about this. And she got baptized in November of 1974 to cover up her tracks, so to speak. She had
Oh
my
wow.
father buried, military honors. She didn't keep the flag. And that's when I started going to the Kingdom Hall full time, September of 1974. Now, if anyone has ever have been around in 1974, you would know that the organization of Jehovah Witnesses was putting dates on the return of Jesus Christ, and dates of occurrences that's going to happen in the world, and particularly Armageddon. The organization was giving public talks about 1975. So my mother used that. She used it like gasoline on me. She really did a number on me, brother. You know, she said that my father was coming back. She was coming back. He was coming back next year in 1975. So my
Yeah.
father, she said this. She told me the witnesses, the organization was co-signing this date of 1975 that Armageddon was going to come, and everybody was going to come back from the dead, from the grave. And she said my father was going to be included.
So just for the people who don't know the jargon, the Armageddon is the end of the world. So they were preaching in 1975 that would be the end of the world, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So um now my father just died. I'm 7 years old. So now I'm getting removed from public school and now put into private school. Um and while I'm going to private school, I have anger issues. I'm getting into a lot more fights, confrontations, you know, people talking about my mother, people talking about my father, and I'm beating them up. And so now I'm going to a psychiatrist, and I'm looking at where they giving me cards and pictures of birds and oranges and fruit, and they want me to describe what they showing me. They showing me a bird, so I'm describing a bird. If I see an orange, I'm describing an orange. And as they just displaying more images, it gets more harder for me to describe. So the psychiatrist was a lady. I never forget her. She said, why are you not responding the way that I told her? My mother said that my father was coming back from the dead next year. And the psychiatrist is like, what? I said, yeah, my mother is telling me that my he just died. He's going to come back in a few more months from the dead, and I'll be able to rejoin my father and see my father again. So the psychiatrist was baffled. She's never heard this before. So she called my mother. She said, Miss Chamberlain, why are you telling your son that his father is coming back from the dead? Why would you tell him that? So this was just something, a wave that my mother can really mess me up mentally, emotionally, even more, because she wanted so much control. She wanted this control and make sure that whatever she thought that I might know never came out or be revealed. She thought that my father told me what was going to happen to him. She thought that my father mentioned something to me about this. She thought that I had some inkling to knowing what was going on, and I didn't have a clue. I knew something was going on, but I didn't know exactly what was going on, to the point of that she, that what she did was, that what she was doing. So this is what my mother was doing to protect her interests. She would have me repeat that day over and over and over and over. And I was consistent to the story. I didn't change, and I didn't change. I haven't changed that story for the last 50 years. Dates, time, places, incidents, everything that happened that day, I know down to the T. And I was always consistent in that. And my mother was worried that I might know something. I might expose her. I might tell authorities on her. So what she did was confuse me even more by saying that your father's coming back, and it's going to be all over the radio. It's going to be on TV. So I'm looking on the radio. I'm looking at the TV thinking I'm going to see Jesus Christ and Satan. We got a news flash that this is going on in America. This is going on in Israel, or going on in Egypt, that there's a war going on, a spiritual war going on, and it's going to be drastic, and God, Jehovah's going to win, and Jesus is going to win, and everybody. And so this is what she told me. And I would look out the window in the beginning of the year of 1975. I would look out the window looking to see if my father is walking up the street from the dead, from the graveyard.
Wow.
She said nothing. So when it didn't happen, when the Watchtower Tract Society, when the Organization of Jehovah Witnesses finally stated in later on in the year of 1975, or going on 1976, they stated in their publications that it was a slight error, and they blamed it on the witnesses. They didn't blame it on them. They didn't blame it on the governing body. They ain't blamed themselves. They blamed it on everybody that fed into it. And while in the meantime, in 1975, nothing happened, as we all know. My mother cashed in on 2 of those life insurance policies and went and bought a brand new Fleetwood Cadillac off the floor of the showroom at Dick Gidrin in the Bronx. My mother went and bought a brand new Cadillac, and she didn't even have a license.
Wow.
And everybody act like nothing happened, like nothing was said 12 months prior to this. Like it just went away. And I'm like, whatever happened to my father coming back from the dead? Whatever happened to him coming back from the graveyard? What happened to the news alerts about Armageddon? It was like it was never said.
Yeah, and probably when you went to the Kingdom Hall, they were talking about the resurrection, people coming back from the dead, and also they were
Yeah.
probably talking, about the end of the world. So that kind of substantiated what you were already thinking
Yes.
or hearing from her, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, man, I'm sorry you went through so much, brother.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Was your mother ever investigated in regards to in any way with your father's unalivement or no?
My mother was investigated by the New York City Police Department for 8 months, and they couldn't get her. She got away with murder, basically. She got away with it. And the biggest contributing factor was that it happened in Mexico. And um the autopsy stated that it was he died from drowning. I don't know what the medical term was for drowning at the time. And they went back and forth about what was that you gave him, and she thought she gave him aspirin, not realizing she gave him Valium. And
Wow.
she got away with murder. And that took her to where she became arrogant. So not only the Jehovah Witnesses, the organization at the time, was becoming more arrogant about the doctrine, she became more arrogant about her ways, about her lifestyle, about what she was doing and getting away with. If she felt like she can get away with that, what else can she get away with? So throughout the 70s, she was getting away with credit card fraud. She was getting away with stealing city services.
And this is while she's a Jehovah Witness?
This is while she was a Jehovah's Witness. Adultery. She was dating married men. She had life insurance policies that she had credit cards in different names. She had our home. We had 4 phone lines, different phone lines and different names in Queens, in our home in Queens. She started using whiteout to cross out, and she would insert what she wanted, the information that she wanted in that paperwork. She would use the whiteout, cross it out. She would insert what she wanted in there, and then she'll make a photocopy of that. So now she's taking forged paperwork and forged documents to the court, to the surrogate's court. And that's how she was able to get my money when I turned 18. One of the life insurance policies she wasn't able to cash in, and it was left for me as a guardianship. And she was appointed by the surrogate's court to be my guardian until I reached the age of 18. And then I would get this account. And she stole that. And by the time that I found out what was going on, she had insisted that in order for me to remain in her home, I had to sign a document. And that document stated that I had to continue going to the Kingdom Hall, attending all the meetings, attending field service, I had to have Bible studies, and I had to get baptized. And within the next 6 months, at the next Jehovah Witness district convention. And if I did not abide by these rules, I would have to leave her home that day. So my mother, I called different friends of mine at the time. I'm 19, 20. I'm 20. My mother already had spent the money when I was 18 years old. She hid it from me, and then she forged my signature and took it to a crooked someone that
Notary.
right. She took it to a crooked notary, and she went behind my back while I was in summer school, making up for 2 classes in high school. And she got the mail while I was in summer school, and she took that and forged the documents, and she took the forgery documents to the bank, and she was able to get my money. And then she came back to me 2 years later after she did that, and she said, "There's no more money left. Well, there's a little money left. You can have it, but you have to sign this document." And that's when I signed the document, and I got baptized September 4th, 1987, I believe.
Wow.
Yes, 1987. 1980. No, it was 1988. My bad. September 4th, 1988. I got baptized at the circuit assembly in Jersey City, New Jersey. And she took pictures and everything. And that was the most. I was not happy. I just felt like I've been duped, and I was so embarrassed that I allowed my mother that much control over my life at the time. And she felt like felt like she was winning over me, and I was powerless. Like, I couldn't do anything. And I remember I'd messed up the 190 questions at the time to be a candidate to be for baptism, for dedicating my life to Jehovah. And I knew all the answers from the years of going to the Kingdom Hall. I knew it by heart. Like, it was easy for me, but I purposely messed up the questions on purpose. And when the brother said, he went and told my mother was like, "He's not ready." And she said, "Let me talk to my son. Give me a day." My mother said, "Let's try this again. If you do not answer correctly with these questions, I know you know the answers to, we're going to have a problem. You want your money? You're going to have to do what I say and answer these questions and become a Jehovah's Witness and get baptized. You understand that? Or if you do not, you know what can possibly happen to you." I said, "Okay." So I went back to the elders the next day, and he said, "Wow, it's a big improvement. Did you study?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." But I kind of gave him like, "Yeah, I studied, but I was forced to do this, and I didn't want to." Like I said, I didn't want to. It was really difficult because I knew, what the consequences was going to be if I didn't follow through with this.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Based on what you know, do you think it's fair for a child to get baptized at 12, 13, knowing that when they become older and they change their mind, they would be shunned by their family members?
Absolutely not. That's just peer pressure. And I feel like if you're not ready, then stick to your guns and don't do it. I wish I'd have stuck to mine.
Could you explain to them how the shunning works, just to give them an idea so they understand?
Um, Shunning is a method of um not speaking or not communicating with individuals once the organization or any organization or cult um states to their members that you have done a wrong and this is punishment, that you do not speak to this individual, you do not associate with this individual no longer, and you do not come in contact with him. um you're not to make eye contact, you're not to do anything with this individual no longer. Whatever you was once doing with this individual or greeting, you're not to do no more. You have to shun him, meaning that you have to avoid him by all
Right.
means.
A lot of parents, they make their child move out the house, right?
Yes, yes. I came across a lot of um friends of mine that were thrown out the house, kicked out the house because um they had done wrong, and the organization told their parents not to associate with them. And at that time, they had to be removed from the house.
Right.
They had by and when you're 19 years old, technically, officially, you're a woman or a man. You're an adult, but you're really not an adult. You're not really of someone that's capable of making a decision on your spirituality at that age.
Right. There's so many different cases of, parents that die and they never talk to the child or say, listen, I only have this amount of time to live. I know of a couple of cases where the parent died, they were shunning the kids, and they
Yes.
left the houses and all their belongings to the society, to the Jehovah Witnesses watchtower, instead of
Hmm.
giving it to their children
Yep.
because of shunning. Yeah.
Yep. So I got baptized and so-called dedicated my life to Jehovah and became a Jehovah's Witness. And I remember Brother Foreman, he was one of the elders in the congregation. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was maybe a month later after I got baptized, or maybe in October. I remember him looking around in the audience. It was a Thursday night meeting, and he said, "We're going to end this meeting. We're going to conclude with the meeting, and we're going to have Brother Chamberlain come up and take us home with a prayer." And I was so nervous. I said, "Oh man, I don't believe this." He said, "Brother Chamberlain, could you step on to the podium and take us with prayer to conclude the meeting?" I had to find some way to somewhat, and whatever I said worked, only because of repetitious going to the Kingdom Hall continually, for all those years from 1974 all the way that led up to that day, that evening in 1988. I knew what to say. I knew how to say it, word word for word. And you would thought that I was one of the ministerial servants. And I was so nervous. I was like, I can't believe I can't believe I just And my mother, I just looked at her. So why are you making me doing this? She would make me, throughout the years, her way of encouraging me to get more spiritual or become more spiritual was she had used to pay me to make comments in the
Mm.
meeting. She would poke me in my ribs. She said, "You want to earn $20?" I said, "Yeah." Of course I want to earn $20. So she said, "I want you to comment on the next paragraph 16 or paragraph 17 in the Watchtower study. And you know what to say. And I give you a bonus." She said, "If you include a scripture reference with a scripture, a comment, and you include a Bible scripture within that comment, I'll give you extra $5. So now she upped the antes up to from $20 to $25. And that was her way of getting me to become encouraging or become more spiritual in everyone's eyesight.
Mm. Wow.
And so after the meeting, people would think that I'm becoming spiritual. "Oh, Danny Chamberlain, Sister Chamberlain is doing such a wonderful job with her son, and he's come a long ways, and he's become so spiritual and enlightened, and he knows the truth." And I'm sitting there like, this is crazy. And she would proudly smile in the background. And I'm knowing that I got $25 for this. And when I did not go along with her program, the car that I bought with the remaining money that I did get from the guardianship from that life insurance policy, I was able to buy a used Seville Cadillac. It was a 1979 Seville Cadillac. But that came with conditions. So, and the way that my mother would keep me in check, my mother would say, "Here's the keys to your car. You can drive your car, but you can only have individuals that go to the Kingdom Hall in the car with you. You cannot have worldly people in the car, your worldly friends, them hip hop people in your car." So every time I drove my car, I would have to drop off my friends and clean the ashtrays and clean the car out. And then when it came to Sunday morning I had to pick up all her girlfriends, and I would be dressed up, and they would say, "Danny, your car looks immaculate. You come a long ways," and blah blah blah. And I had to do this every week. And then if I missed a meeting, my mother would say, "You can't drive your car today." And this is how cold she was. She would give me the keys to the car. However, she would put my car in the driveway first, and then she would put her car behind my car in the driveway. So now
Mm.
she would give me the keys. I got the keys to my car, but I can't get out the driveway because her car is blocking me. She would go laugh and go close her bedroom door and get on the telephone and laugh and talk to her girlfriends while I'm in the car stuck, that I can't get out the driveway. I can't drive. So those are the things that she did to punish me, to crucify me. She will, if I didn't attend the meeting from coming home from work, and I would go home, she would lock all the doors and put bars on the windows so I couldn't get in the house, forcing me to go to the Kingdom Hall. And if I missed a meeting, she would threaten to tell my school that I would have to be taken off the program because I'm missing meetings at the Kingdom Hall. So she would do these type of tactics to me. She would take my clothes, my leather jackets and my sheepskins, and I had leather pants and British Walkers and bally shoes, the fashionable clothes at the time, you know, in the 80s that I bought on Delancey Street and, you know, up in the Bronx, Jew Man and Jamaica Avenue. She would go into my room and take all my clothes and pay somebody to put my clothes in the Goodwill box. So when I come
Mm.
home from school or when I come home from work, one of my friends would say, "Hey, your mother just paid me $20 to take your clothes and put it in garbage bags and put it in the Goodwill box." I said, "You did what?" He said, "Yo, chill out. I ain't that stupid. I put all your stuff on the bottom of the Goodwill box. So if you go up there to Farmers Boulevard right now to the Goodwill box, all your stuff is on the bottom." And I made sure no one saw me. So I would run up to the Goodwill box and get in the box and get all my stuff out from the bottom of the Goodwill box. Take them back home and put it in the garage until I find a way to sneak my clothes back back into my room.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, this was the type of tactics and things that my mother did to make sure that I was never going to be able to be successful in anything I do, anything that I loved. So, you know, today people, you know, they come to me, they come at me and say, how come are you how come you how come you so passionate about this? And I tell them why. And they say, "Oh, now I understand why you're so passionate. Because I felt like I was robbed. I felt like my dream was stolen. It felt like my mother made me feel like that I can never be successful in life. So I go harder for everything that I do. I go harder, 2, 3 times harder. I have to be
Mm.
successful, and that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I have to be successful. I can't fail. There's no plan B. There's no plan C. There's plan A, and I have to stick to plan A, and I got to make plan A work. I have to. Before I leave this earth, I have to be successful in what I love. So that's why I go so hard. I have to prove
Oh.
my mother was wrong.
So being a Jehovah Witness never really changed her from what you could see.
No, she fronted all the way to she died this past June. She was 92 years old. And whatever she kept, whatever dirt that she did, she kept it to herself and she died peacefully.
Wow, man, what a story. Wow. You've been hitting us with so many back-to-back stories. I'm like, well, wow, this is amazing.
When you first met me, when you first talked to me, I was very you probably did notice how passionate I was because I never wanted to be um I never wanted to be felt bad about how my mother treated me. I never wanted to feel embarrassed about my lifestyle with hip hop. I never wanted to be just looking I didn't want to keep my head down about this because I was embarrassed. I can't believe my mother had this much control over me. And it felt as a grown man, it made me feel it made me feel so stupid.
Wow. And she used the Jehovah Witness religion to just really bombard you with it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. She definitely used the organization to railroad me and making me thinking that I would never be successful in life. And I had to prove her wrong. And I always felt like, you know, in the Bible says to honor your mother and your father and your days will be long on earth. And I always felt like, how do I do that? How do I honor someone that's dishonorable? But you know what that scripture taught me? It taught me that it don't matter. It don't matter. That scripture applies to you, not her, not your parents. You be honorable to them no matter what. I would deal with them. When the day comes that I need to deal with them, I would deal with them. And that's the only thing that I felt like I did something that I had to do because God told me to do it. He said, I'm begging you, everything will work out the way it's supposed to work out. You honor your mother and you honor your mother. I know she did you wrong. I know that she wasn't right by this and that she did a lot of things. I understand, but this is forgiving. You have to forgive her so that your life can move on, so you can pursue and be happy. This is not for her. This is for you. Do not worry about anything else moving forward. You live your life and you do what you want to do. And if you love hip hop, then then it should be. You go ahead and you make it happen. You do it, and you honor your mother while you're doing it, because you want to honor hip hop pioneers and legends and icons. You want to honor people that's involved with hip hop, that's associated with hip hop, and you can't honor anyone until you honor your mother. So God said, I will help you. I will help you, and I would train you to how to respond back to your mother, so that it don't become disrespectful, and you can still be able to do what you want to do, and give her respect. And I would take care of her. I will handle her. I would judge her. That's what I'm here for. I would judge her. You don't judge her.
Right. Did she continue to be a Jehovah Witness her entire life?
On paper,
Wow. Did she ever soften up as she got older?
she didn't apologize, but I remember this was about 20 years ago. We wasn't speaking. Like I said, for years I held that against her, and then we didn't have a relationship at that time. And anytime that we did speak, it wouldn't last long on the phone. I would always seem to let my emotions get the best of me and either disrespect or hang up the phone. And that's when I had to ask God to help me, teach me, train me to do a better job in responding to my mother. So she called me on my birthday. She called me on my birthday. She said, "Happy birthday," and hung up. She didn't say nothing else. I said, "Mommy?" She said, "Hi, sweetie. Happy birthday," and hung up. That was her way of apologizing, I guess, or trying to make things right, or mending the situation or our relationship. So when she did that, I kind of took it as, okay, that's her way of saying I'm sorry. And as time went on, our phone conversations went from 15 minutes to 20 minutes to 25 minutes. And I was soaking up knowledge and understanding from her, wisdom, and trying to understand why she's wired the way she was wired, and where this 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 came from. Where did she get this from? How did she develop this? Where did this evil spirit about her, where did this come from? Who was it? Did she get this from her mother, her
Yeah,
parents?
that's what Stella had asked in regards to wonder how she was raised, your mother. So was her mother around or
Her mother was mama. As I was told, her mother treated her like crap.
Mm.
She really did the number, and it was like a generation thing. It went from her to me. My uncle, I spoke to my godmother. I spoke to my uncle, which is her brother, both individuals, and they said your mother was one of the evilest persons I ever met, I ever known in my life. My uncle, he's 90 years old. He said, I never encountered anyone as evil as your mother, and that's my sister. He said, of all the years that I had confrontations, your mother was the only one that I had to pull my gun out on. I
Mm.
never had to pull my gun out. I never had got that upset with anyone in my life but your mother, his sister. I spoke to my godmother, who's a Jehovah's Witness herself. She got baptized with my mother back in 1974. She told me 2 weeks ago. I told her that my mom's passed away and such and such and such, and she said, "Dan, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know how you did it. You're a better person than me. Your mother was one of the evilest persons I ever met in my life. It's just straight evil.
Mm.
I hated."
Man, I'm sorry. Thanks for sharing this tough story. I know it's tough on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we're right at that time now. So I don't want to keep pushing you further down this, but we'll definitely welcome you back on the channel to talk about it again, give you a refresher, you know.
All right. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And you have a
And
lot of support, just so you know, you have a lot of support in the comments. Definitely people that are cheering you on, brother. Believe that, you know. And I know it's tough. I grew up in the religion too. I know it, man. Believe me. So it takes a lot of bravery for you to come up, man. And I appreciate you to the fullest, you know.
thank you. I appreciate all
It's
the.
not an easy story, but it's
It's
a
not.
real story. And I think people need to hear it at a larger scale because there's every generation there's more children coming along and a lot are going through tough things just as yourself, you know.
Yes. Um. I would thought that by now um I would be able to speak upon this and um not to be as emotional about it, but it just don't seem to get better. I'm just as emotional about it as I am now as I was back when I was 7 years old, back 1974. That it doesn't change. And that day that my father died, it just altered. It just changed everything. My whole life was altered. I don't know what I would have could. I don't know what I'd have became, but I know that I love hip hop. I found something that I love very much, and I wanted to be I wanted to become part of, and I wanted to flourish and be passionate about, and I was able to do that.
Yeah,
But it was only
yeah.
the grace of God that I was able to do that, and I had to find some way on where I'm able to be successful in something that I love while I'm here on this earth.
Well,
But
you def
it was a and it was a lot of dark days. Dark, people say dark days. I say dark months. It was a lot of dark years. And if it wasn't for these tapes that I've been collecting since I was a teenager, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know where my mindset would be or my mental state would be if it wasn't for collecting these tapes that brought me joy and and brought some type of hope for me to emulate these individuals on the tape and be successful in what I in hip hop.
Right. I think a lot of times the deficiencies we experience growing up, we kind of overcompensate as we get older. You know, I see that as a common trend for former Jehovah Witnesses. You
Right.
know, you're
Yes.
being neglected, so you kind of focus on that and you go really hard. So, but shout out to you, man. I'm telling you, you're a noble man. You know,
Thank you. I
takes a lot
appreciate it.
to forgive your mother too, man. You know,
It took a lot. It took everything I had to do that. But God said to do it. God said to do it. He said it ain't no other way around it. And I've been trying to find ways around it for years. And I always come back empty-handed, short. I was always coming up short, and I was always allowing my mother to win. And I had to stop that. I had to stop that. I had to find a way to that I had to take my life back. And God, it was only God that told me. He said I, I asked him every day for years, what is it that I could? He said, this is how you respond that to your mother. And I'm like, okay. What if he said, I don't care about what if. You got to listen to me now. If you want to get this right, it was like God was telling me how to get it right. And that was the only way that I had to be trained. I had to be taught. God had to show me. I just had to shut up and just had to let him show me and just be a student of learning how to honor my mother. And
wow.
he said to forgive her, and I will bless you with everything that you want in this life while you here. You just have to listen to me though. And I said, okay. I left it in God's hands, and I have been successful in everything that I pursued.
Yeah,
And I mean that sincerely. I have um become someone, prominent in having these cassette tapes in hip hop, to the point where I've become a former executive director for a museum, the National Hip Hop Museum in DC. I became a co-chairman for the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. I've gotten the Presidential Achievement Award for my contributions in hip hop last year. I got the President Biden Award. I've gotten plaques from senators. I've gotten awards, citations, um, from hip hop organizations and from the community, and in the hip hop community and in my community in Queens. I've received I have what, two or three different plaques with cassette tapes on there, and I've been labeled the tape guard because I've have all the tapes. I've have all the archives of audio, and to the point where I'm now reaching out to the Library of Congress to induct some of my tapes from my tape collection, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to have some of these live performances, some of these block parties and park jams from some of the individuals that's inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the Library of Congress, part of of the institution of music. I have that, and I have relationships with, and I communicated with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've communicated with the Library of Congress. So this is something that I've been blessed to. Um, I worked with NASA recently on space and hip hop, and God has been really good to me. And big shout out to LL Cool J, who reached out to me 3 years ago to have a show on his platform called Planet of the Tapes, where I play snippets of my collection. Snippets of the park jams and the block parties from my collection. So that's a blessing. And when I last saw my mother, last year when I went to visit her at the nursing home in Virginia, she said softly, said, it was like a whisper, tell LL Cool J, your friend, tell him thank you for helping you out.
Wow, that's so amazing. Full circle, right?
Full circle. So when I told LL what my mother said, he said, that's what's up. He said, no problem.
Wow, man, this has been touching. A lot of people have been touched by your story, man. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this one again. You know,
Yeah. Thank you.
so many good
Appreciate it.
points. You know, yeah,
I
you
would
really
try
do.
not to be I'll try not to be so emotional next time around.
Nah, man, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even think about that. You know, that's all a part of life, brother.
Thank you. I
You
appreciate
take
that.
the bitter with the sweet. That's just how it goes down. You
So
know.
so now I want to turn this into I want to turn it into books. I want to turn it into a TV series. I want to turn everything that I went through into. I want to turn this pain, this tragic, all this in my life that I went through. I want to turn it into movies and sitcoms and documentaries, miniseries, everything that I can do. I want to get I want to get a sitcom. I want to do a documentary on growing up in the Kingdom Hall, and I wrote a book called The Kingdom Hall No More back in September of 2008, and I want to turn that book into a movie called Mama Louise, and it's going to be equivalent to Mama Dearest, that movie Mommy Dearest, that came out years ago. Um, I think it was Faye Dunaway. Um, I want to turn I want to turn um, my book into a movie, and I want to, you know, put it out there that hey, if I can overcome this, you can too. A lot of individuals I come across that grew up in the Kingdom Hall they still bitter. They still bitter. And they feel like joining ex Jehovah Witness groups, talking about it every day helps. And it don't help. I hate to say it. I mean, it's great to meet individuals that grew up like yourself, but holding on to that is not good. Talking about it is not good. Putting it to action and focusing on your dream, on what you really want to do in life. That's how you win. And I remember I had joined several ex Jehovah Witness groups when I wrote the book back in 2008, and we was all bitter. We hated the organization. We hated Jehovah Witnesses. We hated how our parents treated us, and it became like it was like a hold on your life. It was like a hold on your spirit, and I felt like I'm in a great I'm in a great group with individuals like myself that grew up like myself, and we got stories for days. But over the course of 2 or 3 years of discussing each other's story, we felt like that we wasn't moving, we wasn't growing, we was just there existing. And I didn't want to be just existing. I really wanted to like, look, okay, we went through this. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. Some of us are still it's still bother us. We still it's still we holding on to this bitterness, and we want payback, and we want if the organization just would lean up, would just bring some of their practices and policies and procedures, bring it down a notch or two, and maybe they would go back to going to the Kingdom Hall, or they would resume being a Jehovah's Witness. And I felt like, no, I never wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness. that's not the life that I wanted. So I had to separate myself from the, some some of the organizations, the ex-Jehovah Witness organizations. I had to. It wasn't like they were dream killers, but I just felt like we holding on to our past too long. We shouldn't be concentrating on our future and what our purpose and why we here. Why are we here on this planet Earth? What purpose is our life? And that's
Mm.
why I gravitated to getting back into hip hop, because that's my passion. And that's what I tell people to this day, to turn your passion into your purpose, and ultimately it'll lead you to your destiny. I came up with that because I really believe that if you are passionate about something, you should that should be your purpose in life. If you're passionate about this, then pursue it. Make it happen. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about the struggles. Don't talk about the past. And I just wish that more ex-Jehovah Witnesses would concentrate and focus on themselves, on bettering their health, mental health, that better their relationship with God or Jehovah, or who get a relationship with God, to opposed to having a relationship with the governing body and the organization of Jehovah Witnesses. There's a big difference of the two. And a lot of people just stay stuck in that mode. And then I didn't want to be stuck in that mode. I really wanted to live my life, and I really wanted to be passionate about life, because you only live once. You can't allow people to dictate your life, control your life.
Right, right. Very good, man. So thank you very much for this incredible breakdown of your life. I think it's amazing. We went over your time. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
Would you care to give a final statement for those who have been listening to every word?
um I want everyone that was kind enough to listen to what I went through, and to listen to my story, and my everything that I was talking with this young man here on his platform. um I want everyone to understand that life ain't fair for us to be in situations with whatever situation that we had growing up, or as an adult, with the organization of Jehovah Witnesses, with our parents or our past. And you only live once. You have to be able to say, I have to make it count. I have to make something count, because once once you die, that's it. There's no coming back. There's no reincarnation. You don't come back as a shark. You don't come back as a lion. You don't come back as another person. That's it for you. So make it count. And there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be situations like like stories, and it's going to be painful, and it's going to be, but you have to be able to have to take back your life, take back control of your life, and your passion and your dreams. And don't hold no bitterness towards the organization. Don't be bitter. Make it count. You're better than that. I'm better than that. This brother that's interviewing me is better than that. And make it work, make it count. And you're gonna have to reach out to God. um I don't mean Jehovah God. I mean a God, the real God, a God that's caring, that loves you, and that has dreams that you can share with him, and you can talk to and have a relationship with, without reporting to the organization of Jehovah Witnesses and the governing body, to get their cosign You don't need their cosign. Okay, so that's the message I want to leave with everyone here.
Well, that's a very powerful message, and we really do appreciate every word, every story. I mean, it was so filled with a lot of details, man. You have a great memory.
Thank you.
I can see why you do so well in the music industry. Your memory is impeccable. All right, Brian Cantrell says, "Well said, Geechie."
Thank you.
Yes, and Stella says, "Definitely write a book for sure."
Another one. I'm going to write another one. I want to do a TV series. Hopefully, I'm gonna write a script. I want to do movies, and I want to do television about this. And again, it's not to bash the organization of Jehovah Witnesses. This is about being free, finally being happy, and having your life, giving life to do what you want to do and be happy, or pursue happiness, and be free from just that hold on with on the Jehovah Witnesses. And so
Okay.
so movies is next, television is next. Definitely need more hip hop oriented type of shows. I'm looking into starting my own rap music hall of fame. I'm looking into getting more involved with writing scripts and living my dreams, making my dreams come true. I don't have much time, but I'm going to make the time count.
Okay. Gold Digger says, "Yes, take back your life. Let God heal every inward part, beauty for ashes, and move forward living your best life."
Amen.
She
Definitely.
says, "God bless you, Geechie." All right.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming on. Look forward to having you back on again. And until
Yes, we
then,
have to do a part 2.
yes, sir. Be well, my good friend. We'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Beautiful job.
Different voices, but the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the theme remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand.